13 on your sidelines. Sponsored by Rand Insurance Group. A better path forward.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sidelines Plus, where we focus on the biggest sports news happening in your community. I'm Matt Gard alongside Jacob Seus and Maddie Monroe. Here's what's coming up on this week's episode. The Grand Raggedy Roller Derby inviting you to be a part of a milestone anniversary. Plus, one college basketball player from West Michigan has found a new home, while two football players have entered the transfer portal. And it's time for some playoff hockey as both the Grand Rapids Griffins and Muskegon Lumberjacks continue their quests for the Cup. But first, one of the biggest stories in the sports world, it is NFL Draft Week, and one of our very own is about to start his professional football career. Of course, we're talking about Isaac TeSlaa from Unity Christian. Maddie, you had a chance to talk to him ahead of the draft.
I did. Him and his dad decided to put on a little Q&A type thing at Unity Christian on Monday night, and it was a lot of fun. They brought, students and alumni and little kids and parents and friends and family, a whole bunch of people to come. They had their jerseys signed, cards, all sorts of stuff, and he answered some questions about what the draft process has looked like so far for him, and then what he's expecting in the coming days.
All right, let's hear from him.
I mean, these are my roots. There's been so many people from this area, especially at Unity, that have supported me. So I feel like this was a good way to give back to the community a little bit. And my dad brought up the idea of kind of doing a little signature and picture thing and then doing a little Q&A after. And I thought it was a great idea. So yeah, here we are. I think just hanging out with my friends and family. I'm having a pretty big draft party. So just seeing all those people, and then obviously waiting for that phone to ring and seeing, the area code and who's on the other line is going to be super cool. I think if you look back on my background, you know who my team is. But I mean, I'll be grateful for wherever I go, obviously. I don't know if there's highlights in particular. It was more just about consistency, just knowing the kind of player I was and what my goals were, and just sticking to those and doing whatever it took to continue to just get better every single day. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to be a first or second round pick necessarily. So, I gotta prove myself out there every single day, and that's just going to be my mentality. I mean, if that's their dream, I mean, it was always a dream of mine since I was a kid. And for me, I just never let that falter, no matter my situation. I think I started off at D2, and that's not a great pipeline to go to the NFL. And then even at Arkansas, I had some inconsistent games and seasons. So it's just about how you present yourself and how you go to work every single day that coaches really take note to. I'd say the biggest thing is people always have a why for why they play the game of football. And for me, it's just, I talked about the support system I had back over here, but especially my parents, my family, my friends, just for everyone who supported me up to this point. That's why I do it. They're the only reason I'm to this point. And of course, I'm a man of faith, so that really just is a big motivator for me.
What a wonderful thing it is to see this guy on this stage. I remember covering him. He was part of the 2018 state championship team. They went to Ford Field. They beat Portland. We pronounced his name wrong every single week. We said Isaac TeSlaa. And I think if he had been, he came here and said, it's TeSlaa. And we're like, no.
Not like the car, like the football player.
Yes, that was just one of those things. But Maddie, you had the chance to talk to him. What was his attitude like? What was his demeanor like?
It was mostly excitement. I think a lot of nerves. There's a lot at play still. He's talked with a lot of teams and he's gone down to visit some. But he doesn't know, right? You don't know till you get the phone call, you see the area code, and you find out. So there's a lot that's still at play, but nobody from Hudsonville or Unity Christian has ever been in the NFL draft. So it's a big moment for him. It's a big moment for Unity Christian, and we'll see how it ends up.
Such a cool thing. And you're talking about a guy who went to Hillsdale College, Jacob, and then went on to Arkansas. Jacob, you actually came to Grand Rapids from the Fayetteville market, so you are you know him. You've covered him in college.
Isaac's first year in Fayetteville was my last, and I remember when he transferred, Arkansas fans saying, "Really, a guy from Division II? What even is Hillsdale College?" And he showed them right away that he is an SEC talent. I mean, think back to when we talked about Trinidad Chambliss last week, a guy who's going from D2 to the SEC, and he can look at what TeSlaa did, and he went to the SEC and made a name for himself. I mean, he's 6'4", so he's above average height for a wide receiver. He's not huge though, so he has to have that other intangibles. I mean, his hands are great. He's not going to drop too many passes. He's quick. We saw it at the combine. His combine in Indy is what opened the eyes to a lot of NFL scouts. Is probably a big reason he's going to get drafted at some point over the weekend. So very exciting for him, and just another West Michigan native, Matt, who's going to go to the NFL.
Yeah, and if we can pull up the graphic, this is something that West Michigan football fans have gotten a little bit used to. Marshawn Nealand, Mozzie Smith, Anthony Bradford, Jalen Mayfield, and those are just the guys who have gone in the NFL draft the last few years. I mean, obviously, Kirk Cousins, way before any of these guys, but that's a huge name. So it has been really cool to see these guys play in high school. And, you know, Jacob, what do you think about just coming here and seeing West Michigan turn out these players?
Yeah, you know, I think our area sometimes gets overlooked a little bit in the high school football scene. So to see guys that dominated in West Michigan then go to the college level and do that same thing now in the NFL. I mean, looking back at Marshawn Nealand, you know, last year we were talking about him at last year's draft. He went to Western Michigan, so he stayed local as well. You know, he was really good for the Cowboys this year. Battled some injuries, but when he was on the field, he was productive. So hopefully we see the same thing from TeSlaa, just to keep that going and just to show you, if you play football here, you know, you do have a good chance to go to the next level.
Absolutely. It is the season for spring games in college football, and this year's spring game at Ferris State University includes a pretty big deal for Bulldogs fans. They're retiring the number 96. That's the number former Ferris lineman Zach Seiler wore before he went on to the NFL. Seiler spent all 4 years of his college career in Big Rapids. He was the first Ferris State player ever to get drafted into the NFL. He's been a crucial member of the Miami Dolphins defense for the last 7 years. And boy, oh boy, the celebrations at Ferris State University regarding football just keep on coming. It is absolutely incredible to see the Bulldogs' continued success, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we were talking about TeSlaa, talking about Trinidad Chambliss. Great for them that they went to D1 after D2 and showed what they were capable of. But this guy, he stayed D2 all 4 years, and he still got noticed, still went to the NFL, played all 4 years in Big Rapids. I mean, it doesn't get much cooler than that.
It won't be long before somebody staying in the same place all 4 years is just absolutely
to be unheard of.
Unheard of.
Yes.
Unheard of. Well, up next on Sidelines Plus, we are talking playoff hockey. Stay tuned for everything you need to know about the Griffins, Lumberjacks, and a one-of-a-kind Western Michigan collectible.
On your sidelines. Sponsored by Rand Insurance Group. A better path forward.
Welcome back to Sidelines Plus. It is time for some playoff hockey. And Jacob, the quest for the Calder Cup begins with the Grand Rapids Griffins facing off against the Texas Stars in a 5-game series.
Yeah, Matt, very exciting. The Griffins, they got the first round bye, which was huge for them, so that sets up the 2-3 matchup in the Central Divisions. The Griffins, they went 3-3-2 this season against Texas, so they played them a lot, and it was pretty even. As we're familiar with, the schedule tends to get a little wonky in the first round. So Tuesday, April 29th, things will get going here in Grand Rapids. It then won't continue until Friday, May 5th. This is only a best-of-5 series, but it could last as long as 2 weeks. This is going to be a good series. The Griffins, they had a strange season. They started off as one of the best teams in the AHL, going really until about Christmas. They were on top of that Central Division. Then the new year hit, and you know, the biggest thing in minor league hockey, you know, wins and losses are great, but it's the development of future Red Wings, and the Red Wings took a lot of guys from Grand Rapids, guys like Carter Mazer, Elmer Soderblom, Dominic Shine, Austin Watson, and the Griffins suffered because of that. You know, they really had to battle some adversity from about January till early in March, so they dropped from first to third in that Central Division, but they played well enough down the stretch to be able to get that first round bye. So that's big. So they're ready on to the next round. Last year they went to the Central Division Finals. They lost in 5 games to the Milwaukee Admirals. So they were really close to advancing to the Eastern Conference semifinals. So they have a lot of guys on this team with playoff experience, but when I talk about how good they were at the beginning of the year, well, they got those guys back. A guy like Elmer Soderblom, who played 26 games with the Red Wings this season. A guy like Austin Watson, who's a seasoned NHL vet. So it would be great to see them pick up where they left off around Christmas. But Van Andel Arena is going to be rocking. Very exciting for playoff hockey. So hopefully this is just the start of a long journey for the Griffins and not a first-round exit here.
You mentioned, Jacob, one of the things about this series is that they are playing on non-consecutive days. It could be a very long series, but don't think they're taking time off in between. We talked to Coach at practice today. Here's what he had to say about their work ethic.
We've got to mentally prepare and physically prepare for playoffs. So we gave the guys one day and we're right back at it, whether it's meetings, video meetings, and then just making sure our on-ice practices are intense, they're short, but our guys are getting their work in. We played them hard, and they've played us hard, and you can tell by the way the season series panned out. We had some wins in their building, they had some wins in ours, so we've got to make sure we do our job, and we're dialed in, we're focused on what we need to do, understanding their strengths, our strengths, and hopefully where we can expose them. Whether we're the guys that were here last year, guys that we brought in that have experience can carry you very far in the playoffs. So we're going to lean on those guys to share those experiences with our young guys and hopefully help our group, go a little bit further than we did last year.
You never know what you're going to get out of playoff hockey. I moved here in December of 2013. The Griffins were coming off of their first Calder Cup championship that they won that summer of 2013. And I was bummed that I missed that, you guys. But I did get to see their 2016 run. And let me tell you, the freezer on Fulton, Van Andel Arena, it was packed to the brim. Every single game past maybe about the second round. Just 11,000 rabid hockey fans filling that place up. So very cool atmosphere to see. And if they can make another run for it, I think that's really good news for the city of Grand Rapids. But Jacob, the Griffins aren't the only local team. Talking about making a run, the Muskegon Lumberjacks showing they've got a pretty good team so far.
Yeah, just 4 teams left here in the USHL, and the Lumberjacks are in the Eastern Conference Finals for the second consecutive season. They're just 3 wins away from a trip to the Clark Cup final. The playoffs started for the Lumberjacks. It was a best-of-3 series with the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders, the battle of who was the better Rapids, and the Lumberjacks came out on top in a decisive Game 3 at Trinity Health Arena. So next round, they get the #1 seed, the Youngstown Phantoms. Certainly going to be a challenge for the Lumberjacks. Well, they swept them in a quick 3 games, including a 5-3 victory on Monday night. The biggest thing for these Lumberjacks is, man, they can score goals. 6 goals in Game 1, 5 in Game 2, 5 in Game 3. Guys like Captain David Klee, David Deputy have been so good for this team, and this is a chance to see the next generation of hockey stars. I mean, everyone on this team is committed to a top college hockey program. Local guys like Michigan and Western Michigan, Miami of Ohio, Cornell, everybody is going somewhere good when they're done with the Lumberjacks. And there's also a bunch of guys who have already been drafted to the NHL and will go to college and then will turn pro after that. So down to the Final 4 here. Trinity Health Arena will get Game 3 of this series on Tuesday night. It all starts Friday night against Dubuque, the Fighting Saints. That was also the Eastern Conference Finals last year, so it's a rematch. The Lumberjacks were swept last year in a quick 3 games, so they fell short of getting to the final. So they're going to be out for a little bit of revenge this season.
Well, let's send them back to Iowa packing. Now, Maddie, hockey excitement, it's not over for fans of the Western Michigan Broncos.
No, you know what? Jacob and I talked a lot last week about getting to go to their national championship celebration in Kalamazoo. But this past week, the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame Museum unveiled new limited edition bobbleheads in honor of the Broncos NCAA Hockey National Championship. The bobbleheads include their mascot, Buster Bronco, and feature the national championship logo. They are available for pre-sale now, but if you want one, you better act quick because only 2,000 of them are being made.
This is so cool.
Right?
What an absolute collector's item. You going to get one of these?
You know, I thought about it, and if I was a Western fan, I would, but...
But you were there.
I wasn't at the game, just the celebration.
You were at the celebration.
Am I the only one that didn't know his name was Buster?
You didn't know his name was Buster?
I didn't.
Buster
And you know
think
what?
so. I think so.
It fits him. He's he's just Buster the Bronco.
Yeah, he seems like a Buster.
I mean, and maybe buy it and, I don't know, sell it down the line. It's a collector's item if only, so many of them are
And
being
I
made.
think they're $30, $40, so not too expensive for a collector's
bad.
item.
Might
Sell it
be,
on eBay for 100.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they might
yeah.
go for more than that on the secondary market. We're going to pivot now to college football. Maddie, this week, one of the star players on the Lakeshore signed to play Division I ball.
Yes, Matt. I always love when Lakeshore players get their spot in the spotlight. West Ottawa linebacker Elijah Reynolds is a junior who missed much of the past season with a shoulder injury, but he'll be playing at Central Michigan next season. He made the announcement on X Tuesday. Reynolds is 6'2" and 211 pounds, and since he's a member of the class of 2026, we'll look forward to covering him in the OK Red this fall.
All the highlights being shown here are against your Grand Haven Bucks
I
as
know,
well.
that's
I don't know
unfortunate.
if you knew that.
And I just was talking about how I like my Lakeshore players, but
From
no.
committing to CMU to leaving CMU, Montague graduate Isaiah Aitchison has announced he is entering the transfer portal after just one season with the Chippewas. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school. He originally committed to play in Mount Pleasant right after receiving the offer. Did we mention he's 6'8"? In the immortal words of WWE superstar, former WWE superstar Enzo Amore, you can't teach that. He has 4 years of eligibility remaining.
Yeah, Matt, and also hitting the transfer portal is Forest Hills Central graduate Ty Hudkins. He spent one season at Purdue, appearing in all 12 games for the Boilermakers as a true freshman. Rivals reports that Hudkins is visiting Northwestern this week. You'll remember Hudkins originally committed to play at Northwestern, but decommitted after former coach Pat Fitzgerald got fired. Hudkins has 3 to 4 years of eligibility remaining.
And finally, staying in the portal but switching to hoops, Zeeland West graduate Merritt Alderink has a new home. It's back here in the Mitten. Alderink announced on X that he's committed to play at Eastern Michigan next season. He spent his freshman year at Indiana State, but saw limited playing time for the Sycamores. He just got in on 13 games this past season. Every episode of Sidelines Plus so far has included some sort of transfer portal news. Jacob, this has got to be good job security for you because it feels like you'll never run out of news as long as there's a transfer portal.
There is no offseason in college sports. Football, they went through spring practice, so the portal opened. It's going to close again soon, so those football guys have a decision to make. Basketball, they have a little bit more time, but yes, it never seems to end.
Well, they might seem like they'll take your head off, but they are some of the nicest women you will ever meet. Up next on Sidelines Plus, a milestone anniversary for the Grand Raggedy Roller Derby.
"13 on your sidelines." Sponsored by Rand Insurance Group. A better path forward.
Welcome back to Sidelines Plus. With hard hits and fast jams, the Grand Raggedy Roller Derby League is celebrating 20 years on the track, and they went big over the weekend. We stopped for practice during a doubleheader game. 13 on your side's Deja Barrett was there.
If you look up the word toughness, you just might find roller derby in the definition. It's a tough sport, fighting, well, family.
It's really great. You're just hitting your best friends, really. You go out there and you hit each other, and then maybe afterwards you're like, hey, let's go for ice cream or a beer.
It's creating those friendships on and off the track that got the Grand Raggedy Roller Derby team rolling into 2 decades of fast jams, hard hits, and roller derby excellence.
Yes, we're 20 years old. We're almost legal drinking age.
On the track, you'll find skaters of all levels, beginners and all-stars like Tanel McFadden.
but around these parts you go by
Snickers McNasty.
Tanel started with Grand Raggedy in 2010.
I'm one of the elder skaters. I'm a senior citizen in roller derby.
She's watched the Women's Roller Derby League evolve into a thriving organization.
I love the community. I love the openness. I love the diversity and how we embrace each other and support each other. And we come from all walks of life.
The group started in 2005 as the Grand Raggedy Roller Girls, one of 30 founding member leagues of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. The Grand Rapids League is part of the Northeast region and is made up of 2 teams who compete not only stateside, but worldwide.
It keeps me busy. There's not another sport that I've played where I can do it 2 to 3 times a week and just burn a ton of energy off and feel pretty good afterwards.
This season, the league is celebrating 20 years of being tough, and they're always encouraging other women to lace up their quads and join in on the derby fun.
If somebody's coming in and they haven't really skated on quads before, we just teach them how to cross over, footwork, anything basic that if you're gonna fall, we teach you how to fall safe. That's the first part. And then we just basically build on those skills with blocking, hitting.
We encourage everybody, if you're interested, come check it out. You will not regret it. And don't think you can't do this, because you can.
You can. And if you want to try out, they're actually holding basic training on April 27th. And Maddie,
Yeah.
that brings me to you, because if you notice in that video, a lot of those women had tattoos. You have tattoos.
I do.
They don't seem to be afraid to break their bones, and you've broken every bone in your body.
I have.
Why not try out?
You know, given that I've broken nearly every bone in my body, I have a very bad track record with wheels and things on wheels. So I don't think I should do this. I've already fallen skateboarding, rollerblading, skiing, all sorts of things, and I break bones a lot. And it's.
But you could get the cool roller derby name like Snickers
I
McNasty.
would love a good roller derby name.
What
That
would you
be
go
awesome.
with?
Oh, I don't know.
Wow,
I'd have to think about it.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
You can't put me on the spot
you
like
go
that.
you go on by Madmon privately,
I do.
but do you think that would be
I
a
don't know that
cop
that
out?
would be exciting enough. I think I
Jacob,
would
what do
need
you
something
think?
better.
What do you think Maddie should be?
We'd need to really think about it.
Yeah,
I know
we'd have to think of
that is a
something good.
cop-out answer. I wish I had something clever to say right now.
I know,
I
I
really
wish
do,
I did
but
too, but I
don't.
That's okay. Jacob, would you do this?
You said maybe it's for you. It's not for me.
Do they have a men's league?
I don't
You
know.
guys should join.
Oh, actually, their referees and I believe practice players are all men.
I've put on rollerblades a few times. I never understand how to stop. Like ice skating, there's a pretty clear way to stop. Rollerblading, how do you stop in those things?
That's my problem. I don't stop.
Yeah,
I hit the ground.
Boom.
Man.
Not great.
Hitting the ground just like the end of this show. That is all we have the time for on Sidelines Plus. Tune in next week for a brand new episode, all new content with local sports. Until then, for Jacob Seus and Maddie Monroe, I'm Matt Gard. We'll see you later.